Well, good morning guys. It's a Monday morning and I'm out for my usual breakfast in the woods. Just over a week ago I had a night out. Today it's breakfasting. A few points of view to come across today, and I've heard a woodpecker this morning. Yes, heard a woodpecker. It's about -2 at the moment. No frost, but all the condensation iced up last night on the cars, I noticed, and the wood is quite warm. Anyway, I'm going to proceed to walk through the wood for a little bit, find a place to hole up and do some breakfast. Well, in a moment I hope you'll catch the male woodpecker giving his little shout in the morning. There's one. There we go. Hi guys, here we go. It's my little review. In fact, I'm going to do a number of reviews over different cook systems that I have and I've used over the years. Now this I've had for some 25 to 30 years now. It's a Trangia 25, and as you can see it's been well used, particularly the kettle there and the little burner. The little burner I keep in a tub rather than a polythene bag, and the only thing I've had to replace in all that time is the O-ring in the lid of the burner. And when I bought this it just had a strap which I've discarded. I don't use the strap anymore to hold it together. I just use that bag, and also I bought a fuel bottle some time ago as well. This is the half-litre one, and I've also got 2-litre bottles indoors. It's a very good cooker, and in a minute I'll be cooking my breakfast up on it. I'd highly recommend these, and I'll be giving my views on the burner and such in just a little while. Right, a good way of lighting these is using the fire flash. Also can use lighter or matches. I tend to use this. Now I see most people trying to do that. Very inefficient. I either put the back of my Mora clipper across the back and drag it up, or if you put your finger underneath there and lock it down so, and then just, there you go, well and truly lit. Right, kettle's on for a brew. So I shall go through a few things. Now, a good while back I bought a small tub, because you used to get a plastic bag that you put your burner in, so I tend to use that. I tend to use this. It's very good. It's seals, and it's great. I can keep it in my pocket or chuck it in the little orange bag. I've got 2 Trangia burners now. Trangia system I can't really fault. It's very, very good. Now, as I say, this is and I keep a little bit of blue paper at the bottom. This is hand towel, and I fold it, I put it at the bottom because that absorbs some of the moisture. So you can see I've had this burner a long time just by looking at the lid. I mean, it's quite well corroded now, and yeah, it's a very good little burner. Can't fault it. Get 2 size pans with the Trangia, as you can see, a lot of patina on the bottom, and it's well used. I'll be cooking my breakfast in one of these today rather than a fry pan. As I said, the fry pan I find a bit useless, and I'm doing a scrambled egg with mushrooms and halloumi cheese today, and obviously the pot grab. Fuel, well, best way to keep your fuel is well away from your burner. in fact well away from any naked flame. I normally keep this at the other end of my campsite when I've camped out anywhere, so that it's away from any naked flames. And I'm just going to get on with getting my breakfast ready and making a brew. So well guys, breakfast is cooked and it's quite nice. Well, the first half of my breakfast, I'm going to do a bit more in a minute with some halloumi cheese and a couple of slices of bread. I've got scrambled eggs, scrambled duck eggs and mushrooms, very nice. Sort of grey colour because the juice from the mushrooms, but I'll eat it out of the pot rather than take a mess tin with me. As you may have seen in a previous video, the one I did yesterday, we went out for a little walk, Avalon and I. Found some crab apples. Crab apples, really nice for cooking. These are pure crab apples. They were so sharp. Sometimes you go through woods, you see crab apples, and they can get hybridised. The apple family tend to be fairly free with their affections when it comes to pollinating, but these are really sharp. And made a note of where they are, and I shall be down there in the autumn picking loads of apples to make crab apple jelly, crab apple and rowan jelly, and maybe a couple of compots or whatever. Also I saw a lot of trees, a lot of birch trees, which I'll come to for Sandy in a minute. It's something I've got to explain. But the birch trees have been got at by some human beings, taking the bark off. I put some of the blame of this to various bushcraft TV programs, you know, and also YouTube. You know, people thinking that birch bark is the only way to light a fire, but it isn't. You've got to use your noddle on this. You wrecking the trees, folks, when you do this. I know many of you are sensible out there and will only take birch bark off a dead tree, but there's a lot of people that aren't. And to be quite honest, and I've had this from the man himself, Ray doesn't use birch during the summer, and he uses it during the winter mostly, which it is now. Well, you wouldn't think it was winter. But my personal thing is that there are other methods. I don't go for the Vaseline and cotton wool method of lighting fires. Bit of a cop out in some respects. I'm moving backwards actually. I'm going into using, when I'm doing open fires, using flint and steel, and then I've got to get my friction fire going, you know, my friction fire starter going. But other than that, you know, it is annoying. As far as birches goes, Bushcraft Bartons put up a bit on why birch bark peels. Now, there are a few species, a few varieties of birch around the world, but in the UK we have two. One's known as a silver birch, and the other one is the downy birch, or Pendula pubescens. They do cross-pollinate a bit, but you can normally tell the downy birch by the way they sort of like, you have this downy look upon it, you know, and it's great. So only two varieties, and they're reasonably easy to tell apart. Our birches don't have a tendency to peel that much in this country. Silver birch will peel, but it doesn't put in great sheets as you would see in America and Canada. I'm not sure what it's like out in Scandinavia or the Russian steppes, but I say, and it's a very useful tree. I mean, it can feed you, it can wash you, and it can keep you warm. Feeding you, in the spring you can eat the leaves, and tap the birch. I think there's about a 2-week window, if that, where you can tap the birch for its sap, and you need quite a big birch. You need at least, what, a good 1.5 to 2 foot in diameter. Obviously the bark you can use for fires. Come later on in the year, the leaves contain a high amount of saponins, and that's great for lathering up and washing yourself with. And of course, with the wood you can make a spoon and a bowl, so again it feeds you. It's a great little tree. Rarely lives any more than about 100 years in this country. In the south, the fungi you will find on it is just the birch polypore, but if you go further north, particularly in Scotland and the northern part of England, you will find the horse's hoof fungus on it, which again is great. If you take the top layer off and beat that out, looks a bit felty. You can beat that out and make that into tinder, and again use that on your flint and steel. It's a great tree, but sadly people are tending to wreck the trees. Anyway, I'm going to finish my breakfast, and breakfast is all done, and I've been crafting. I made one of these. You can see it, a triangle of wood and a little ladder. This is a drying rack. Hold it there like so. In fact, I'll show you more in a minute. Just get back to the old thoughts. Right, back to the Trangia. Right, here we go. That's the burner. Now, I'm going to probably ruffle 1 or 2 feathers here, but no much. It's my own personal opinion. Now, I have made Coke can stoves. In fact, I made them out of drinks cans. I've even made one out of a Red Bull tin, which is quite small. Doesn't burn for long, but it suits a particular purpose. And I've noticed many people use that setup of the Coke can. It's a wonderful system, you know. It's dead cheap. It works on the Miami ethos. Miami is an acronym standing for Make It and Mend It. And it's great. The only problem is, in the long view, it could actually work out a little bit more expensive than actually using a Trangia burner. See, the Trangia burner's got a screw top lid, so when I go out, if I want to just go out and just take a cup of tea with me, in fact I can take a water bottle, the Trangia burner and a triangle, and that's it. Something to light it with, and that's it. I can brew myself up a cup of tea, or even 2 cups of tea. There's enough fuel when it's loaded to do 2 cups of tea. I don't have to take any extraneous fuel. Likewise, when I finish cooking like I have done today, there's still a little bit of mess left in the bottom. Now, with the Coke can stove, it can, or with the homemade alcohol stove, you have to burn the rest of that alcohol off. In many ways there's no way of draining it off, so you've wasted that. Now, you know, it's like if I'm away for a weekend, I can use less than, I use about 250 mils of meths if I'm cooking over a meth stove. I like doing an open fire in many cases, but that's going down another route. I say, it's for general cooking, I much prefer the Trangia, or there's another company called Tatonka which do a similar type of burner, and these, you just screw the lid back on and you've conserved your fuel. You know, it's pointless just keep wasting fuel. But anyway, as I said, that's it. It's been pretty good. There was a bit on the news the other week. I'm not sure whether I've covered this or not. of a chap found up in the Highlands, in the Cairngorms, in a bothy, and he had died of hypothermia. Apparently he was going to try and live off the land for a year. Now, I did the journeyman course in Scotland in October, and there wasn't a lot to eat then. Fungi, yes. Blackberries, yes. Cattails, yes. And we long lined for, or night lined for trout and eels, which we got. Unfortunately, we didn't catch any rabbit or hares, even though we snared out. And it was very difficult. It is very, very hard work. You got to be prepared. It's no good going up and thinking you can live off the land, particularly in winter in Scotland. Now, the thing is, you've got to be aware of the signs of hypothermia, and one of the signs, and I will cover this in another video, but one of the signs is that. If you can do that, you're okay. If you can't do that, you're not okay. And you must be aware, particularly if you're like me, you go out and you spend a lot of time out on your own, which I tend to do. I like my own company when I come out into the woods. I love having Avalon with me, and I do like having a friend along or two, but that hasn't happened in a long while. But as I say, and I've digressed. I've gone from trangia burners through to hypothermia. Well, actually, you know, the burner can keep you warm. I say, going back to the burner, it is personal preference a lot of the time, you know, and I've had this trangia cooker for a long time, as I've said, and it's paid its way. I'm just going to do a little book review in a minute. There's no story today as such, but I belong to a few sites on Facebook dealing with bushcraft, and one of them, which I post a lot on, we've come to the general consensus that there's no particular word as bushcraft. It's a journey. It's not an end in itself. Most people tend to treat bushcraft as an end in itself, but it isn't. It's a journey. It's a collection of various skills, whether you're skinning a rabbit, making a spoon, doing a fire, building a shelter from what's around you. It's a collection of skills. Also tracking, watching wildlife. For me, it's watching wildlife. You know, I go out, I've heard woodpeckers this morning, male and female, calling and answering. No deer today, and occasionally I'll get a fox come through here, but I'm gibbering on, so he'll keep his head down. And you know, it's like, and we make things, and you know, I don't do shelter building as such. There's no need to. I carry a shelter with me when I need to. Normally just a tarp, or even just a bivvy bag. You know, that bivvy bag is a type of shelter. You know, you can hunker down in it, as I did the other night. When it was that warm, I had the summer sleeping bag. Bizarre, really bizarre that. Yeah. It snowed a bit today, by the way. Not much, but about 2 minutes worth of snow. Enough to, I should think, enough to make a lot of people excited. Anyway, as I say, I'm wittering on a bit now. Right, book review time. Now, I've had this book for a long time now, and it's by a guy called Richard Graves. Now, you may have heard of Robert Graves as his cousin. He was Irish born and emigrated to Australia, but he wrote 10 books for the American military on basically how to live out in the backwoods, and it's collectively known as Bushcraft, a serious guide to survival and camping. That's the book cover, and it's the original 10 books made into one book, and it covers ropes and cords, huts and thatching, campcraft, food and water, fire making, knots and lashings, tracks and lures, snares and traps, travelling gear, time and direction. There's a lot of people. I mean, I must say one thing. We in the UK don't have bush. We have woods, we have backwoods and some wilderness. In fact, we have quite a bit in Scotland, but other than that, you know, and the moors, but other than that we don't have bush. Australia has bush, and so does Canada and parts of America. They have bush, we don't. We have, well, what accounts for wilderness. I mean, this isn't actually wilderness, this is overstood plantation, but I've digressed. So the book covers those 10 subjects as I've mentioned, and it is very, very good. There's not a lot of photographs. There's 1 or 2 photographs where they're making a wall using earth. It's rammed earth hostel, if you can just about see that, right? And also it covers navigation, making a bull boat, or coracle as he calls it. And in here somewhere, there we go, is doing a pack. I don't know whether you can see that. It's basically a swag, Hudson roll pack in a way. And he mentions here that you put your main gear in your roll pack or your swag, and then you have a dilly bag, which in this case is a cloth sugar bag he's illustrated. You make a dilly bag up, and that hangs over the end of your swag bag, and that's for all your stuff that you're going to possibly need, you know, during the day. You know, your knife, well, you'll be wearing your knife on your belt, but stuff for making a fire quickly, and your brew kit and what have you. It's a very good book. It's quite easily obtainable. Now, if you want a copy and you don't wish to buy it, well, in a roundabout way you will be buying it. Go onto the Woodsmoke website, and they have it as a PDF download, completely free of charge. Me, I prefer having a book because I can take it with me and I haven't got loads of A4 paper. But it's a very useful book, and I highly recommend it as one of the bushcraft books. There's about 3 books I would recommend, and that's in many ways that's the best of the 3. It depends where you're coming from. I'll be doing a little review on Mors Kochanski's book soon, and there we go. Anyway, I'm gonna turn off, and in a second I will show you the little drying rack I've made. Get further out because obviously I'm close up here, but I hope I haven't bored you all today. It's good out here. I say get out in the nature, get out. Okay, it's cold, you know, it's winter, there's not a lot going on. The birds are starting to sing and starting to marry up and breed, and that's great. But get out in the nature, you know. Bushcraft isn't all campfires and sitting around it. It's the nice piece, that's the nice social side of it, but it's getting out and looking at people, looking at things, and studying. You know, we can all sit around a campfire, but it's just camping. I like spotting wildlife around here. With a bit of luck, I might see some deer. Alfie normally sticks his nose up, if there is any. Later on in the year, the fungi start coming out. It's great trying to practice identifying those, sorting out which are edible and which aren't. The leaves are slowly, the trees are slowly coming into leaf, very, very slowly. And pity I can't hoof up these Scots pines, because I'd like to get some pine pollen to make cakes with. As I said earlier, bushcraft is a set of skills, and I will be revisiting a lot of stuff that I've done over the past few years on videos, and I will be trying to do some sort of instructional video, doing it from my aspect. I mean, you know, everybody's got a different way, a different aspect of doing this, and showing you how to make maybe a hobo stove, or how to do a fire. I'm not a great fan of big fires. I think a lot of the time, I think if there's 1 or 2 of you, a really big fire is not necessary. So I'm whittering on about, and So, oh, for those that live in this country, in the UK, Merrill, the people that make boots, have teamed up with the National Parks Authority to do a visit national parks, and you get a card and you get it stamped every time you visit a national park in this country, in this land. You can get it stamped, and I think there's 24 national parks, so 24 stamps. And I do believe you get some sort of an award. I've got the card, but I haven't looked at it properly yet. Other than that, I think that's about it for today. And just say, get out in the nature, get out there, whether it's cold or whether it's mild. It's good fun being outside. Well, I know I said goodbye, but just coming back for a reprise on a couple of things. While I was here today, I thought I'd knock up one of these. I should leave it hanging up locally in the tree for myself, so I tend to use this spot a lot. This is a little drying rack. You can hang it over the fire like that, or near the fire. If you're successful in your hunting and you've caught yourself a rabbit, a squirrel, dare I say a deer, it'd be classed as poaching. Rabbits and squirrels are classed as pests in this country, and so they can be hunted all year round along with pigeon. You might want to dry your meat, make a bit of jerky or whatever, or try and preserve it over the fire. You don't want a blazing heat, you just want a warm smoky fire to keep it dry. In another video I will make the rest of the drying system, but that's a little drying rack. In fact, you can even say hang it up by the fire like that, and hang your socks, or if you've done a bit of washing, hang it on there, hang your socks or your utensils on there. Very useful rack. In fact, it could be used as a utensil rack. It's very useful. I sound quite easy to make up. And something I did forget to mention, and I'll just put this on the ground. We all seem to carry paracord with us, you know. Everybody's got to carry loads of paracord, or seems to, but we forget something else. This time of the year there's no nettles to make cordage with, which I would have done with that, but carry string in your pocket, pronounced string. No, string, very useful. This is jute twine. It's obviously biodegradable. It's a useful thing to carry in your pocket, because obviously sometimes paracord is useful, but you don't want to use it for really making your drying racks with, or making simple stuff with. It can prove too expensive, and also paracord has many other uses outside of it. It's always useful. Carry a ball of string in your little ditty bag. You know, it's useful. And on that, carrying useful stuff, I've started carrying these as well. I shall be making some lanyards for them, and these are jeweller makers, or jewellery loops, or I call them small hand lenses. One's a 20 times magnification and one's a 10 times magnification. And I also carry another hand lens, magnification indeterminate. And they're great when you're out doing a little bit of tracking, or you know, you're foraging or whatever, and you find something, or even if you find an insect, you know, it's a great little thing just to help you understand your nature, or the nature, more. You know, as I said, bushcraft is more than just going out and making campfires. Anyway, on that, I really have to go now. I've got to pack my gear up. My fingertips are starting to feel the cold a bit. Been out here, and it's actually sort of sleeting on and off, which I'm really pleased about. Anyway guys, as I said, get out there, get in the nature, do the bushcraft thing the way you feel, and remember, it's great being outside.